How's everyone feeling? Okay, I was gonna make you guys do some squats if it didn't get better. I'm Toni Carey.
And I'm Ashley Hicks.
And we are the co-founders of Black Girls Run. And today we want to share with you how we built our audience, how we have become super, super niche. You can kind of tell by the name. And share some of our unique experiences as we built our audience. We don't have all the answers, but hopefully we'll leave you with some tips and tricks and thoughts to make your business better and really hone in on your audience. So I started running after really watching Ashley and her journey. I was a superstar couch potato. And I like to say that the pinnacle of my athletic career was junior pro basketball in elementary school. So I decided to retire really early.
I don't even think I know what junior pro is, but it sounds good. So I'm Ashley Hicks, and I started running in 2006. And for me, running was something new. I told people I wasn't going to run unless I was chasing a ball because I played basketball and soccer growing up, and I played soccer in college, but definitely embraced running in 2006. And so for us, the question that we get most often is, how did you guys get started? Where did this idea of Black Girls Run come from? And so it all started back in 2008 when Toni started running. We would be chatting at work. She was living in New Jersey, I was living in Charlotte. And this is so long ago, we were on Yahoo Messenger. I don't know if you guys, we would be on Yahoo Messenger being productive at work and chatting, right? And so we started talking about, as Toni started running, we started just talking about our experiences. And we got a lot of questions from family and friends, like, what is this whole running thing about? Why are you guys doing this? Toni's mom even had like a few words of wisdom for her.
Yeah, I remember buying my first pair of shoes, dropping that $200, feeling really good about everything. Called my mom, told her that I wanted to run a half marathon, and she told me that my uterus was gonna fall out. Thanks, Mom. Right. And just FYI, it's still intact. I still have it, yes. So it's all good.
But yeah, we just felt like there was a lot of misinformation, especially in the African-American community, about running and why it was so wonderful. So we started our blog, Black Girls Run, and blogged for 2 years strong, just really giving out as much information as possible. We would do recipes and how to buy shoes and all these different tips. So we blogged for 2 years. Mm-hmm. And then we decided that we would do a meetup because as you guys know as bloggers, you're always sitting behind a screen, but it's rare that you have that interaction with the people who are actually reading. So we put this post out and we said, hey, you guys, we're gonna go run this race in Atlanta, but love for you to join us. And we were super nervous about it. I remember like we were at the race expo and any black person we saw, we're like, hey, are you with us? Like,
totally stereotyping.
Right. And so the meetup was incredibly successful. And from there, all the ladies were like, you know, this has been so cool to just have this community. There was literally, maybe there was 50 black people at the race, and like 40 of them were with us. And so it was like, you know, this is so incredible. We want to take something back to our hometown. We'd love to start a running group. So we were like, oh, that's a great idea. So we again posted on our blog, and we were like, hey, if you want to start a running group in your city called Black Girls Run, and you want to be an ambassador, shoot us an email. It was that simple. And everyone who responded, they got a running group. It was like, you got a running group. You got a running group. But it was the beginning of something that has really been the backbone of our organization. So what we really wanted to share with you, like Toni said, was a few things on what has really helped us to be successful, and that's really being unabashedly us and staying true to who we are. You know, we're obviously black and women, if you can't tell, so hence the name of the blog. But we really felt like it was so important to put a culturally relevant spin on the information that we were able to give to our audience. And I know you guys can probably relate to just being able to really drill down and know who your audience is and be able to deliver the information that's so important to them. And then the other thing that we really wanted to do was we had a list of kind of our non-negotiables. So these are the things that we're like, these are absolutely out of bounds. We won't change. We have to stay true to ourselves as the face of the brand, and we have to stay true to the ladies that we service. So the first one was we would not change our name, which was really controversial when we first started. We would work with different partners and different sponsors would approach us and they'd say, we love you guys. We see you at all the races. You're so wonderful. We'd love to work with you. Would you be willing to change your name? And you're like, that would be the biggest sellout ever, right? You know, they were like, all girls run, and you know, just do girls run. So that was something that we actually felt like we lost out on potential sponsorship dollars, but we had to stay true to the ladies that we were serving. And then the second thing that was out of bounds for us was charging a membership fee. So you can imagine when you're starting something new in a community who has not done this, and the ongoing joke is, you know, black people don't run unless they're running from the police, which is terrible.
You can laugh, it's okay.
Yeah, you can laugh. You'd be surprised how many times people come up to us and say that. But we knew to do something very new and to start something new, we didn't want any kind of barriers to entry. So we didn't charge a membership fee. Again, this was probably a revenue stream. Now we're like, oh, that would have been great.
Yeah, we go back and forth whether or not we missed out or if it was for the best.
Right. But we feel like we still to this day don't charge a membership fee. It's absolutely free for the ladies to come out and run with our groups. And again, this has worked really well. And then our last thing was that, no offense, but no men allowed. We wanted the groups to really be a safe space for women. And that's so important, I think, when you're really in your niche and really serving a group, is creating that safe space. So on our Facebook groups, we have over 70 Facebook groups. You know, we have women who ask honest questions about menopause and hormones and losing weight. So it's definitely a safe space and no men allowed.
So, as Ashley mentioned, we blogged for 2 years before we even thought about selling a product. And I think there's so many businesses and brands that come to market and they're like, I just want to sell, sell, sell. But we spent a lot of time building and cultivating trust and loyalty among these women so that when we did have something to sell, it would be a no-brainer for them. And we realized that we needed to offer our audience something that they really wanted and needed. And luckily, our audience is very vocal. They are not ashamed or afraid to tell us exactly what we want. And so we always have tried to give them what it is that they're wanting, and letting them know and understand that we truly are listening to the needs and wants that they have as they are on this running journey. Not only does it build even more loyalty, but it also creates demand.
Right, so the first stream of revenue that we had, we actually came by accident, and it was selling merchandise, hence the t-shirts. And it was really interesting. It was again on Yahoo Messenger, like Toni and I being like, I really want a t-shirt that says Black Girls Run. And so we created t-shirts, and once people saw the pictures, it became definitely in demand. And so this was not how we envisioned monetizing Black Girls Run. We actually thought we were going to write a book and get this great book deal. That never happened.
Still has not happened. So if any publishers out there.
Right. But so we're big on numbers. So just to give you an idea, the first full year that we sold merchandise, we did $1 million in sales. I know, it sounds great, right?
Crazy.
That's right. Let me finish.
Right.
So we did $1 million in sales, and we're like, wow, we're really on to something. But, and that's definitely, it was a great point for us. The con to that was that we were at a point where we're trying to serve all of the women in the group. So we're having all these styles, from the people who are more elite to your beginners. So with that, the cost of goods was so high that no, we did not make close to $1 million. But it was a lot of lessons that we learned just as we started to get into the e-commerce business. And again, this was 6 years ago. The e-commerce world was so different. About selling online, and quickly learned how to become more niche with even in selling, so that we could focus on the products that we're going to sell and were most beneficial to our groups.
So one thing that I also would like to note is being aware and conscious of cultural and economic shifts that will shift your business. When we started Black Girls Run in 2009, the running industry, I feel like there was just a lot of different things happening at the same time. For Black women, hair maintenance is a huge barrier for working out. And at that time, a lot of women were going natural. On top of that, we had an administration that was very focused on health and wellness, Michelle Obama's Let's Move campaign. So the world was talking about the obesity statistics. 80% of African American women are overweight and obese. Also, we were in a recession, so everyone was looking for something low cost that they could do to keep their sanity, as everyone was losing their jobs, myself included. And so it was just the perfect storm for running to start ascending on this big boom. So 2009, the running boom starts. It's going. At this point, at this day and age, which was huge, more women are running the marathon than men in the first time of the history of the sport, which is amazing. But now we're also seeing that running is on the decline. There's so many running groups out there on the market. Athleisure has become such a huge trend, whereas when we started, you could rarely find a technical tee that was unique or branded. And so the competition definitely changed, and it caused us to take a step back and say, okay, what are the ways that we need to pivot along with the industry and economic trends that are happening? So this is where knowing your audience becomes really, really, really important. So we had the opportunity to do some really great research with United Healthcare. They were really interested from their own personal perspectives of understanding our demographic. But for us, it helped us understand what it was that really resonated with ladies. And it extends far beyond the running. Honestly, our group is not about the running. It's about the community and camaraderie and the safety that these women had that we kind of knew, but it just solidified our thoughts around that. We also would do regular research ourselves. So every year, we would do a very extensive poll of our ladies. What is it that you want from us? What is it that you think that we're missing? What do you want Black Girls Run to be? Why is this so meaningful for you? And that research really continues today. We're always keeping our ears to the ground, keeping a pulse of our groups to truly understand what it is that they want from us.
If I can add, one of the things that it's so important that you guys are constantly, obviously building your following and building your community. But one of the things that was so great that we had served so much and really been a champion for these ladies. So when we went to do the research, the agency that was in charge of it, they were like, you guys had a 40% response rate, which is unheard of in the world of research. Usually it's less than 10 people actually take the survey. So that was just amazing, just the power of being able to build a community and them feeling comfortable enough to give you all the feedback that you need to help grow your business.
And I think the interesting part of this too is as we look at how our membership has changed, we started out very high income earning women with multiple degrees, whereas now our audience really is just the everyday working woman, definitely middle class. And so, as you can imagine, that our numbers in terms of these ladies don't have a lot of disposable income to spend. And so we're having to adjust with that as well. On top of, we have a great partnership with REI, which is a national outdoor retailer, and Brooks Running. And so even being in constant communication with them and sharing with them how our audience is changing and how their priorities are changing, it's really a multi-layered approach to ensure that, again, you are keeping a really good pulse on who you're actually serving.
Absolutely. So with all of that research that we were able to do, we decided that the best thing for us was essentially to become even more niche, which seemed, impossible at first, and we were super resistant. We're already like Black girls who run. How much more niche do we want to be? But it actually turned out to be super beneficial. And so what we decided was that we really were going to cater just to new runners. So we went to, as we're monetizing, we start rolling out programs for your marathoners, your half marathoners, your beginners, your walkers, I'm thinking about running people, and that was just way too much. We're spending way too much money trying to market those programs and get it out. So we really decided to focus on our new runners and create programs for them. And we really were like, how do we find a way to just kind of be this, the first stop that people go to, and Black women go to when they want to get healthy and fit.
And with that, as you can imagine, if we're just focusing on new runners, that means we're losing a lot of people who really love running, but we can't cater to them. So one of our philosophies has been, we love collaboration and partnerships. If we're the entry point, and they are running a marathon and they feel like we can't serve them anymore, well, let us help you find a group that can serve you in a way that your needs to be met. We really believe there's enough to go around, and so partnerships has definitely been a way for us to do that. And discovering even more streams of revenue. With these new runners are so excited.
Yes.
Like, so excited. They want to run a 5K every weekend. Or they want to travel across the country and do 50 states. They want to run a marathon or a half marathon in 50 states. So we decided to partner with these racing companies who needed people to run. And with that, it was everything from, we'll just pay you for advertising, or every time one of your runners signs up to run our race, we'll give you $5, $10 for that runner. So very creative ways to create additional ways to monetize that, again, initially we did not have in 2009 when we were just selling T-shirts.
Absolutely, it was funny. It was like at first we were resistant to focusing on these new runners, and we started doing that and partnering with races. And I feel like the first time we got a check for like 10 grand, I was like,
oh, this
hallelujah!
Is something.
Like we should have been focusing on new runners all along. But now we want to open the floor for any questions that you guys have before we go to our last slide on how we're monetizing now. Any questions?
Oh.
Yes.
Have you thought about breaking it down in age groups, like stories about runners from 15 to 25 or older?
Yeah, that's actually a really good question. So we know that our core demographic is 35 to 45. That's the core. And then it starts skewing a little bit older. And so again, when we're looking at ways to monetize, like even down to the T-shirts, we have to be really aware of the cut of the T-shirt. A lot of older women don't want their arms out. And so we have to do a lot of shirts with sleeves, and I think the disconnect can sometimes be like, Ashley and I are in our 30s. So like what we want is not what our audience wants. And that's, I feel like, tricky as well. And we've had plenty of conversations about, but I want a muscle tee, and Ashley's like, no, that's not what our customer wants.
I always say, just give the ladies what they want. They've told us now.
Yeah.
Yes.
How did you decide on new runners?
So that was a big part of the research that we did with United Healthcare, and then from there we also did. I guess it was Temple University. We did research with them, and so that was one of the big things that came out of the research is when we asked people, why they had joined the groups. We learned that most of them had some kind of health issue, whether it was they were pre-diabetic, hypertension, whatever that looked like, and then most of them were just learning how to work out and needed an outlet. And so what we realized was this was the best way for us to kind of be this entry group, and then we knew they did like a lot of interviews with some of our more veteran runners, and they had said, I feel like I have outgrown the group in terms of just I'm too fast, I run so much farther, or I have to do 20 miles today, and someone else is only doing 2. So from there, we were like, we feel like we can better serve new runners since we have so much information for them, and they benefit most from the camaraderie of the group.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Are you utilizing the stories of your individual runners as part of your marketing?
We have.
We have. We actually don't do a great job. I think that is an area where we can certainly improve. We've been very fortunate to have some great media coverage and recognition. And so when you go to our homepage, blackgirlsrun.com, plug, there's a great video that was actually produced when we were recognized by Oprah. And so that really has been our hero video to really show people what Black Girls Run is all about. But those stories, those testimonials are like super important. And a lot of the way that we've grown has actually been by word of mouth, which has been really neat.
Yeah. Yes.
Do you reach out to like HBCUs and get them involved, or has that been part of your marketing?
No. College students don't care about getting healthy.
We thought, we were like, oh, we would love to launch this on college campuses, and then what we realized.
We tested it, actually.
Yes, and it is really hard to get 18-year-olds to wake up early on a Saturday morning and go run. So. Yeah. Yes. Oh, sorry.
Curious, you guys are, young, but I'm wondering if you've thought about the trajectory of the company, that if something should happen to the two of you, or if you decide we're going to go do this other cool thing, how are you thinking about the company surviving or selling it without your leadership?
Wow.
That was a deep question. I love it.
And so timely.
Yes. We have been talking about this. So I have a 2-year-old, and that for me, I don't know if I'm sure there's some parents in the audience, that was like the biggest life change ever. And so I was balancing work and Black Girls Run and baby, and so that has like kind of started our conversation, and we just talked about this weekend. That's so funny.
Yeah, we just talked about this weekend. And so, I think one of the things that Ashley has always said, and I was so resistant, is we need to, in the very beginning stages, exit strategy. Start thinking about your exit strategy way early. She's always compared us to a rap group. I mean, like, literally, when we had an office together, every day she'd be like, Toni, I don't know how many more albums we got. Like,
you're either like Beyonce or you're a one-hit wonder.
Yeah.
I was like
and so, yeah, we're definitely in a time in our lives where we're exploring options of whether we turn it into a 501c3, and that is the legacy, or we find someone who wants to buy it, who we trust and knows that will keep the brand and our mission and vision alive, and we're still there to offer ourselves as the face of the organization. So, yeah, these are all things that are going through our minds right now.
Question.
Real life stuff.
Yeah. Yes.
I'm from Chicago, and so I've never really been around this many white people before. And
I love it.
So I was wondering about the politically correctness of this. If I started a website of White Boys Run, I think I'd hear something. Did you run into any of that? Do you still run into some of that? Are there people that would like to join you but can't because they're unfortunately white or Asian or that sort of stuff?
Well, the funny thing about the groups is they're super inclusive. We have a lot of members who are not Black. Our only rule was like no men. But we get that, yeah.
Sorry.
This is like the girls club. But no, we get that question a lot, and I think that what we were able to explain to people is that, being kind of like minorities and marginalized groups in society, like we've always kind of clung to that identity of being able to get together and have that, I guess, camaraderie. Yeah. So, you have like African American churches and HBCUs, and you have, historically Black sororities and fraternities. So a lot of people we felt like have understood that, and then some not so much.
Yeah, I think that it's always a teachable moment for us. And the greatest part of that is it opens up dialogue. So I actually love when someone challenges me on that, because I get to educate them about why we started it and have them kind of open their minds about why we do what we do. So,
Absolutely.
But you're always going to have, I feel like you're always going to have pushback.
Yeah.
And we've always been very, how shall I say this, politically correct. We both read the autobiography of Malcolm X when we were like 9. So we've always just been really committed to our community and taking responsibility for the issues that lie in our culture and community. I think that's probably been one of the greatest things that I'm proud of is we could have easily sat back and said, this isn't our problem. You know, but it is. It is. We're all responsible for each other. And so we've never been ashamed. We've never been ashamed of that.
Absolutely. All right, one last question. Yes.
How do you guys inspire the leadership to take on their own run in a new city? You guys started the first one in Atlanta, right?
The first one was actually in New York.
I was living in New York at the time, but that's a really good question.
Yeah.
Do you want to dive into? We have over 200 ambassadors across the country that manage the groups for us.
Yeah, they're volunteering their time. They're scheduling runs throughout the week. They're doing events, and they are just so passionate. Like we don't have to convince people to come run with us or to take a leadership role. I think that they're just so excited to have that community and sisterhood. It's honestly like a glorified sorority. And so we've never really had issues with people staying passionate. And I think that they see the passion that we have. They see the sacrifice that we've made. And their thing is like, we understand that it takes all of us to do this. So.
Right, and I think you find people, if you're looking to have brand ambassadors, I think you definitely find people who are super passionate about your brand and super passionate about helping others. And then you also, like Toni and we have another girl, JL, who helps us run the groups. They do a really good job of kind of providing guidelines, shall I say, for the brand ambassadors so that people aren't rogue and taking on way too much. But they are literally like the backbone. We couldn't do it without them. Did I press next? Nope, not the next slide. There we go.
Thank you.
Just to wrap things up, we wanted to tell you guys a little bit about how we've monetized now that we are focusing on new runners. To give you guys an example of two of like numbers and what that looks like, because for us, we thought that again, it wasn't going to work. So one of the biggest programs, it's really Toni's baby, is Walk Before You Run. Do you want to walk them?
Yeah, very quickly. It's just a new runner program. It starts from walking, since running is kind of intimidating. And that's the entry point for most of our ladies.
Absolutely. And so a program like that we're able to do quarterly. We actually were able to roll out a training program and had a great coach. And that was a program that was like, what, 20,000 in sales?
Yeah, 20,000 in sales. We are offering even a half marathon and a full marathon training. The numbers aren't looking good, so it's something.
2 people signed up.
Yeah, not good.
Again, we should have taken our own advice and then like.
Right, so it's something, again, like the being aware and the trial and error continues. It'll be something that we won't do again, more than likely. And that's okay. I think that's kind of the name of the game, is keep trying to find what works and what doesn't.
Absolutely. And then we have Sweat With Your Soul, which is our racing conference. Again, something where we keep the distance low. It's a 5K, 10K, so we're able to do a training program leading into the racing conference and really target, again, the newbies. And then the last thing that we did that was really cool is we did our Preserve the Sexy tour. I told Toni, I was like, I feel like we should go on the road. Again, we're like a rock group in my head. I was like, we're just gonna like go on tour. We actually looked at like renting one of those VW vans. That didn't work out. But we did that, and we did a lot of seminars. We went on tour 4 times.
4 times. And we're actually on tour this summer. We're hitting like 12 different cities.
Yes.
And it's an opportunity just to get some face time with our members, which for them, it's like that's invaluable, and they love that.
Absolutely. So as you can see, being super niche for us has certainly helped us out and helped us with monetizing.
So everyone is selling something. You guys know that. So I want you guys to think about, how are you going to set yourself apart? How are you going to serve? Are you uncovering trends that may not seem so obvious? And can they be monetized? And once you've found your niche, you've only scratched the surface. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.